So if you're a Trump supporter and you're a working class person, understand that they're going after you. And if you believe in the Constitution and democracy, they're also trying to undermine that.
But Senator,
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Brian Tyler Cohen talking to Bernie Sanders. Brian Tyler Cohen is interviewing Bernie Sanders, but we may be able to look behind the scenes, between the lines, and see really what's going on. Let's get into it.
I'm joined now by Senator Bernie Sanders. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
So we're in the aftermath of an election that was largely predicated on this idea that Trump would be lowering costs for Americans. This was the high grocery cost election. Now Trump and Elon have come in, taken an axe to the federal government through the DOJ Commission. Is what they're doing lowering costs?
No, of course it's not, but let's back up just for a little bit and see where we are. Because, Brian, we are in literally an unprecedented moment in modern American history. When we look at Mr. Musk, everybody has got to understand this is the wealthiest guy in the world right now, worth over $400 billion. You talk about Trump's getting elected and inaugurated. Musk put over $270 million into Trump's campaign, and guess what? He's now the most important person in government. What does that sound like you? Does it sound like a democracy, a government of the people, by the people, or for the people, or is it really an oligarchy doing the bidding of the very richest people? All right, that's number one. Number two, what concerns me very much is the move toward authoritarianism in this country. You have Trump circumventing and bypassing Congress, deciding, hey, it doesn't matter what Congress did. Congress put money into this project. Now, I'm going to do away with it. I don't want to spend that money. It's gone. And that means programs for low-income, working-class people going to be gone. Fortunately, the courts are beginning to put a stop to what he's doing. But that is what he wants to do. But you don't have a democracy if you circumvent the legislative body. And then he's going after the courts. You heard J.D. Vance saying, well, the courts don't have a right to stop what the president is doing. No, really? I mean, that's what 100 plus years of American jurisprudence has been about. So you got oligarchy, and then you have this movement toward authoritarianism. Now, to answer your question, what is the goal? What is the end goal here? The end goal of oligarchy is to make the richest people who are already phenomenally rich even richer. So how do you do that?
So right here, Bernie Sanders he's doing a great job of laying out what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on, and I will never, count him out on that matter. The only issue that I have more or less with Bernie is the fact that the way that he's going about it, the way that he decided to react or go after what was going on. So he's going to say that there's an oligarchy. He's going to say that there's an authoritarianism going on. And while this is great, while this is, I'm glad that he is pointing it out, that he is someone, at least in the government, who's pointing it out. What is he doing? What is he doing? Is he believing in this still corrupt two-party system? Is he actually playing a bigger part into it? Is he just going along with these neo-lib values? And before you say, oh, well, no, Bernie's the progressive guy. Well, let's look at it. I think he made his decision back in 96. He was with Ralph Nader, and before you look at this, like actually go into it and look it up, where he could have been supporting Ralph Nader, and he could have been a independent, but he didn't want to be an outcast. He didn't want to be anything as far as that goes. And he supported Bill Clinton after Bill Clinton was advocating for NAFTA. And we know how that goes. So it's just a matter of, what are you doing about it? You're calling the issues out, clear as day, but don't tell me for 1 second that you are on, I don't know. I'm not here to make any moral judgments on anybody, but for my personal morals, it seems like you're just siding with the smoke and mirrors.
Well, you do that through massive tax breaks. Well, where do you get the money to provide trillions of dollars in tax breaks? You cut programs that working people need. Just today, the House brought forth their budget reconciliation bill, an outline of it, talking about huge tax breaks, the very richest people, while they're cutting Medicaid very significantly, and I suspect other programs as well. So you're asking me, are they going to cut costs for working people? No, they're not. They're going to give tax breaks to the rich, and they're going to make massive cuts in programs that working families desperately need.
Well, to that point, Senator, the Republicans just released their budget plan, and they're seeking a $4 trillion increase in the debt limit, and that would offset $4.5 trillion in tax cuts.
Brian, could that possibly be true? The Republicans who've been telling us for years what a big concern it is that we have a large national debt. They want to increase the national debt by $4 trillion, right? And obviously they want to do that to feed the hungry and to house the homeless and to make sure that everybody has health care, right? Well, maybe not. I mean, it is so ugly and so ridiculous. What they want to do is to increase the national debt. They want to cut Medicaid and other desperately needed programs for working people to do what? To give massive tax breaks primarily to the wealthy and large corporations. That's what this whole thing is about. Just keep your eyes on the prize. That's what it's about.
Well, you know, a lot of the branding, a lot of the messaging that Republicans have been putting forward is that they're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. And so they immediately go after USAID, they immediately go after the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And so what does it say that while they're nickel and diming these programs, which by the way, as far as the CFPB is concerned, that's a program that costs $800 million a year, returned $21 billion to consumers who've been ripped off by predatory banks. You look at USAID, a half of 1% of the budget delivers essential programs like clean water, food for refugees, HIV prevention, and helps us with soft power around the world. And so you have these massive benefits for a fraction of the cost, and that's to nickel and dime us out of those programs. But
Brian Tyler Cohen and Bernie Sanders are making great points as far as what the corruption is on the Republican Party. I would go to say that their criticism on the Republican Party could get very much put on this neo-lib, the way that we have been set up now, the left, which is just a softer version of the right, just a lighter version of the right, a different shade of it, to where, we have the rich getting richer with the Democratic Party as well. The Democratic Party has sold us out to the corporations. They have sold us out as the working class people. They're not developing us anymore at all. So I believe that while, Bernie Sanders and Brian Tyler Cohen may be making a point towards the Republican Party, the conservatives, it is literally to the benefit of the Democratic way, the same way. It's not a progressive movement at all. This is not going into helping out the disenfranchised whatsoever. They're not wanting to develop people at all.
when you're looking to pass tax cuts that would cost us $4.5 trillion, apparently that's totally fine.
I think as a nation, we've got to take a deep breath. I think you framed the question exactly right. Is there waste in every government program? Yeah, there is. Is there waste in every corporation? Yeah, there is. But what they will do is use the issue of waste to kind of destroy entire programs. In terms of USAID, you make very important points. This is a program which is keeping hungry children alive, treating people who have HIV and other preventable diseases. And in terms of quote unquote soft power, what it means is that all over the world, people are saying, thank you, Americans, thank you for keeping us alive, for feeding our children, for giving us some housing. And that is a positive for us in terms of dealing with global issues all over the world, winning support from people. Going after the Consumer Financial CFP, I always get the initials wrong.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB.
All right, this is something that protects consumers from predatory banks. And going after that will just make it easier for banks and large corporations to rip us off. So to answer your question, this is exactly what is going on. When there are programs that help desperate people, we kill them. When there are programs that help large corporations and big banks, those are the programs Republicans will support.
So then what's your message to Trump supporters who voted in this election because they believed, after listening to Trump, that it was a referendum on high prices, on the cost of goods, and yet instead of lifting a finger to do anything to mitigate the cost of high prices, they're instead focused on stripping programs to give them the pretense of cutting waste while at the same time delivering yet another handout to millionaires and billionaires?
What I would say to Trump supporters are two things. Focus not on what...
Again, if you haven't looked up what NAFTA is, the reason why I keep on bringing this up is because we have Bernie Sanders here, again, being interviewed by Brian Tyler Cohen, who is asking him the right questions. I believe that he's asking him these questions so that if you do have eyes to see. You can see through what the hell Bernie is talking about. As far as Bernie Sanders wants to say, okay, well, the USAID and the Consumer Business Bureau, I'm not too sure what the actual acronym is either, but they're here to protect it, especially the consumer, the second one. It's here to protect the well-being of consumers. It's here to protect Americans, the people of America, which is great, wonderful, wonderful. As far as NAFTA goes, that gave all of the power to corporations. That you can make an argument saying, okay, well, it's for the betterment of other people. They can come into the United States and they're able to ship their goods. It's helping the world out economically, being able to share in with the United States. But let's be honest here: the corporations are able to use these other countries for lesser and not support the working class that is here. We're not taking care of the environment over here at all, and they're able to capitalize again off of the lesser, off of the ones who aren't, who value the dollar. A dollar can get someone out of this country way more than it could get us. So they can pay them $1, and then they can use that to leverage our well-being as a working class. It's not for the working class at all. It's not a progressive movement at all. So why would you support that? Why would you want to support something like that? It is predatory just as well as what's happening now. Again, it's just a lighter version of the Republican movement.
What Trump says, but what he does. And what he's going to do is cut programs that you and your families need. Do you really think it's appropriate to cut Medicaid substantially? Those are families, your families, may not be able to get the health care that they need. Your mother may not be able to get into the nursing home that she has to get into because Medicaid pays a substantial part of that. We're going to do away with aid to students who want to go to college. Your kids are going to have to go more deeply into debt when we cut back on higher educational programs. So the other thing that I would say is that if you are an honest conservative, you believe in the Constitution of the United States. You do not believe that the richest guy in the history, in modern history, can go around unilaterally cutting programs that were authorized by Congress. So if you're a Trump supporter and you're a working class person, understand that they're going after you. And if you believe in the Constitution and democracy, they're also trying to undermine that.
But Senator, we've seen Trump deploy this strategy before. He did it in 2016, where he came into office on the back of promises that he would make a healthcare plan that was more comprehensive and more affordable, of a jobs boom that never materialized, a manufacturing renaissance that never materialized, of an infrastructure plan that never materialized, and now he's doing the same thing here. And so how do you square that gap, square that circle, basically, where you have him saying one thing, consistently failing to deliver, and yet the message doesn't seem to get through?
It's just not just failure to deliver. He lies all the time, and this is a whole other problem. And Trump has, I'm not going to say the politicians throughout the ages have.
Here we have again Brian Tyler Cohen wanting to shift the conversation, saying, why don't the American people believe you? Why don't they believe in you? Why aren't they believing in this liberal party that is supposedly for the American people? If you're supposedly for the American people and he's not, then why are they believing him? Again, I believe that he's asking the questions for people to read in between the lines, but who knows? He might just be giving them softball questions again, wanting to make it all about Trump so that we don't have to look at the Liberal Party and look at the actual values, so that they can continue to just point the finger at Trump, and you're looking at Trump and he keeps on getting put in office, or people like Trump keep on getting put in office, and we're just complaining the entire time. We're not taking any type of accountability whatsoever on our own party, or why people aren't going after it. Maybe because we don't stand on our values. Maybe because we sell out just as bad, just as hard. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.